This video is all about writing a program that will print out a diamond like structure like this. Now we're going to use for loop to do this. Now before we start, now I'll use this medium to appreciate my subscribers, both old and new subscribers. Please subscribe. I also want to appreciate my viewers. I also want them to please subscribe, like, comment, and also share the video. Now let's start. The the program I want to use Python to be able to print out this. And this particular um, code will be able to also ask the user to specify how high the diamond should be. Now let's begin. Now if you look at that diamond, let's say you have x, the next one is 3, the next one is 5, the next one is 7. Then now you now come back to 5, then the next one 3, then the next one 4, 1. Now if you look at this diamond, you notice that the number of these rows is what? 7. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if you check the way the numbers are being written, now the first one you have 1 star, the second one you have 3, the third one you have 5, the fourth one you have what? 7. Now it now comes down to 5, 3, and 1. You see, the diamond starts with 1. Now since it starts with 1 and the difference is 2, since it starts with 1, it means that it only works with odd numbers. You study it. Now that means if you want to increase this, let's say you want to increase it to 9, it means the middle one is going to be 9. The middle one, just like as this one is 7, will be 9. If you want to make it 5, the middle one will be 5. The middle number of stars will be 5, while the rows will be 5. As in the maximum, this thing will be 5. Now let's go to for here now, the height for this particular problem is equal to what? 7. Now we can increase the height of the diamond to maybe 9, 5. It depends on the but actually the value you're supposed to be putting in there is odd numbers, because if you put in um even numbers, it will not work, because you cannot have 1 here, 1 as in one um figure here. Though when I teach the if statement, I will not do the if statement here, but when I get to that if statement, I will now also teach you how you can write the code where you can also be able to put in any number, whether even or this, but only that the thing we need you now need to modify the number so that it will move from being an even number to an odd number. So with an if statement, but we are not using the if statement in this situation. Now the height of this is 7 from this explanation. Now you can make it 5, you can make it 9, you can make it 11, depends on what you want. Now depends on, because now this code we need to ask the user, what is the height you want this thing to be. So now let's begin. Let's go to the environment. So now we are using Python. I'm actually using Spider. So Spider, and the version I'm using, the Python version I'm using is Python 3.11. So it's Python 3 I'm using here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to now, the code we're going to write is to ask the user what is the height he wants. So we'll just say height equal to eval, press the tab key. Now press input, you press the tab key. We'll put quotation mark. You can use single quotation mark or double quotation mark. Now I will just type in enter the height of the diamond, the diamond shape. Okay, shape. Let me just leave it like that. Now I will now need to use a for loop. I in range, press the tab key. Let me just say, let me just put 1, but it's not 1 I'm going to use. Let's go back to let's go back here and show what we're supposed to use. So now I wanted to create first. I want to do it in 2. Now I want to use 2 for loop. I want to use 2 for loop system. So now this first shape that looks like triangle, we are going to create it first. Now if you look at it, for every one, you notice that the rows are 1, 2, 3, 4. It ends at 4. Now the next one is 1, 2, 3. So that means if you look at this, the way the thing is being arranged, whether it is 9, it will still be the same. It shows that the upper one is higher than the lower one by 1, meaning that you are adding you're adding from the center up. So that means since we have gotten the height, and the height is 7, now for us to be able to know the number of rows, let's say you are given any other number which is not 7, like 9, 11, or any other one, or 5. So what we're going to do for us to be able to get this, for us to get the number of rows and also this number of rows down here too, which is this triangle here. The formula we're going to use that is in Python is, you say height divide by 2, that is stroke 2. This will give you an integer. Now like if here is 7, divide by 2, it will give you what? 3. If here is 9, divide by 2, it will give you 4. If here is 5, divide by 2, it will give, divide as in with this sign, divide by 2, it will give you 2. So this 3, if you check the 3, we have gotten this one. This one is 1, 2, 3. So for us to get this number of rows that we're going to input into that range, what the formula we're going to use height minus height divide by 2. So this is what we're going to use there. So let's go back. Let's go back to that program again. Now that means this place that is 1, we're going to change it to that height minus height divide by what? 2. So now we have gotten that expression. We have gotten the number of rows we're going to create. Now if you look at this, that again, the next one we're going to say, okay, let me say print. Let me say print. Press the tab key, press quotation mark. So now let me just put anything there, but that's not what we're going to use. This is not what we're going to use. Let me go back. Let's go back. Now I will not come to use this shape again. Let me draw another shape, because we're working for the first upper triangle. So now let me just draw the first upper triangle. If I draw it, I will now explain what I want to do so that you follow me along, because if I didn't explain it, you won't. Now if you look at this, if you draw a vertical line like this, you draw a vertical line joining this to know where they meet. Now if you look at this, you see you have, for you to get to this point, you have how many space? 1, 2, 3 space. Here you have 1, 2. This other one, you just have 1. Here there is nothing. So for us to create this, we'll now look at this space that was created. Now for this one, you have the first 3 space. Now this other one, you have 2. This other one, we have 1. Then this one is 0. So since we have gotten this like this, now you know the way Python numbers, the number from, now let's assume the I we used in for loop, the number from 0, 1, 2, 3. Now based on our own numbering system, now we want to number from 1, 2, 3, 4. So this, our numbering system will now be I plus 1. So if you say 0 plus 1, it give you 1. 1 plus 1, it give you 2. 2 plus 1, it give you 3. 3 plus 1, it gives you 4. So this is what we're going to use as our n term. This is what we're going to use as our n term for this. Now we want to find the n term for this, or the I term for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the arithmetic formula, where you have the n term to be equal to a, which is the first term, plus n minus 1 times the difference. Now if you check, the first term is 3 plus the second term plus, sorry, the second term now for you to get difference, the second term minus the first term will give you -1. So the difference is -1. While n is equal to I plus 1. So we use I plus 1 minus this 1. Then now times -1. So now you will now have 3 plus 1 minus 1. This will cancel out. To cancel out, this will cancel out. Now you now have I times -1. So this one will give you minus I. So this is the same thing as 3 minus I. So that is for the I term. Now, since we have gotten this, now if you check, if you reduce this by 5, let's say you want 5 rows, that means from here, that means the middle one will be here. So you see this one will reduce to 2. You see, if it is 5, it will reduce to 2. So meaning that this 3 is the same thing as what we got here. This, if it is 5, is 2. If height is 5, this is 2. If it is 9, this will be 4. If it is 7, it's 3. So this 3 here, we now can change it in terms of the height to be height divide by 2 minus I. So this is what we're going to use for these spaces. Now, let's complete this other one. Then for this other one, instead of us not to come back to this place, for this other one, you have the first one to be 1, the second one 3, the fourth one, the third one 5, the fourth one 7. So the number of stars, now the first star is just 1, the first row is just 1 star, the second row 3 star, this the third row 5 star, the fourth row 7 star. Now using this principle to also find the n term for this, we now have, we say Tn is equal to A plus n minus 1 times t. Now you have the first one to be 1 plus the n is I plus 1 minus 1. The difference is 2. So this is the same thing as this one will cancel out. You now have only I left here. So you have 1 plus 2I. So for all of them, for all the forms of the diamond, they start with 1. So this 1 is a constant. So this expression applies to all of them. So we are going to use this expression for all of them. Now let's go back to our development environment. Let's go back. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to create a space, which is that space. We're now going to multiply that space. We're going to multiply that space with height. Press the tab key. We'll divide it. We'll use the divide sign 2 times by 2, then minus I. Then we now go over to the next one. We say comma. We'll now say comma. The next one, you put the quotation sign, we put the star, we go into the other one, you say times, bracket open. We now use 1 plus 2 times I. That is what we use. So now with this, now we have used the formulas we just created there. Now so we have just So this will now create all the first row. Now let's troubleshoot it. Let's see whether it will create does not the first four row, the first triangle. Let's see. It will create this first triangle. This we just did will create this first triangle. You see, we use this 1 plus 2i and this formula there. So now let's see if it will create that first triangle. Then we'll go over to the next one. Go over to the next one. So now let me just click run. So now let me say 7. You see, it creates the top. So now let's look at 5. If we say 5, the same thing creates it. Now let's say 9. See, it creates it. It adds more. So here when you hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So look at it. See, now let's now also create the lower part of the triangle. Now we'll now make the diamond. Now let's go back to this expression. Now let's go with the next one, the lower one. You have one, you have this other one starts with 5. It starts with 5, then the next one is 3, the next one is 1. So we have just created this other one, which is 7. So we're not working on that. Now that means from this other triangle, the first, when you check now, when you check from that first one, let me just add it from this last one, the 7th one, sorry, the first one, which has 7 stars. Now if you look down, now from here you have 1, here you have 2, you have 3, so the same here too. So we're not working with this other one, we're not working with this other spaces here. So we're working with this other space. So now when you look at the spaces now, you have the first one, you have 1, the second one you have 2, the third one you have 3. Now based on the numbering system, you have 0, 1, 2. Now we have 3 rows here. Now based on this is based on Python numbering system, but based on our numbering system, we start from 1, 2, 3. So this is I. So this other numbering system will have I plus 1. Now we now needed to find, now let's look at also these stars. Now the first one you have 5 star, the second one you have 3 star, the third one you have 1 star. So now we first look at the spaces, work with the spaces first. The spaces, now let's use this arithmetic progression formula. Now you have t subscript n equal to a plus n minus 1 times the difference. Now when you check now for that spacing, the first one is 1 plus I plus 1 minus 1. So and the difference is 1. So this will give you, this is 1. This one now, this will cancel out. You now have plus I. Now this formula is a constant. It will not change. So that is what we're going to use, because after this first row, the next one, there is a space of 1, which is this. Then this one just increases, so it will remain the way it is. We are not going to change it with anything. Now the next one, which is the stars. The stars. So which with this one, the stars are 5, 3, 1. So now we have we're going to make use still make use of this formula. The first one is 5 plus or minus plus, sorry, not plus or minus, plus n is I plus 1 minus this one times the difference. 3 minus 5 will give you minus 2. So we now have 5. Now this will cancel out. You have I times minus 2. So you have minus 2I as the answer. Now if you look thoroughly, you see, after this one this one, after this one that is higher, after this one, which is 7, the next one, because since when you check the difference between this and this is 2. So meaning that, and the one next to the second one, if you're coming down, is the highest one. Let's say if you have 9 rows, that means the first one, this one will be 9, then the next one below it will be 7, meaning that they have a difference of 2. So that means this formula will change from this, we'll say height minus 2, then we now add this minus 2I. So this is the formula we're going to use, because this minus 2, just like if the height is 7, if you put 7 minus 2, you have 5. So this is the formula we're going to use for the stars. So now we have gotten the formulas we are going to apply in that order, lower triangle. So now let's go back to the program. Now what we're going to do is, and again, there's an issue we didn't trash out. Let me go back. Now you have, for the blower one, we have just 3 rows. Now since we have 3 rows, now that means if you have 9, you will have 4 rows. That means, and if you have 5, you have 2 rows below. So that means if you have 5, if the height is 5, you have 2 rows below, because here this is 5, the fifth one. That means the row below will now just be only this one, 3 and 1, which is this. Now if you have 7, you have 3 rows, which is this. If you have 9, 9 will be the upper one. Then you have 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is it. So now the formula is, now when you look at this, you notice that if you use this formula, you see that if it is 7, you have 3. If it is 9, you have 4. If it is 5, you have 2. So we're going to use that formula now, meaning that the range should be height divide by 2. So this is what we're going to use to define that point. So now let's go back to the program. Now what I'll do is to copy this whole thing, copy it and duplicate it. So now what I'll do is just come here and paste. So when we paste, what we're supposed to use here is height divide by height divide by 2. So that's what we're going to use here. Then here, the spaces, what we use for the spaces is just, we said we're going to use 1 plus I. So we're going to use 1 plus I. Then here we are going to we're using the height, press the tab key, minus 2 minus 2I. So this is what we're going to use here. Now let's check again. So it's correct. Now let's go back. So we are done. Now let's run this program to see whether it will give us the diamond. Now let's look at it. Now we need the seventh one. You see the diamond comes out clear. Now let's look at if it is 5. Very good. Let's see if it is 9. Great, great, great. You see. Now let's see if let you see. So when it is 9, you see, let me see. See, this is when it is 9. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows. Great. So thank you for watching to the end. Have a nice day. Although this mini project, it makes you understand this thing very well. Now, before I want to just begin with this smaller, the simpler one. Then from there, we can now go to the higher one, the higher projects. We want to be doing smaller projects now. From here, we'll go to the higher projects. So now, thank you for watching to the end. Have a nice day. Please do well to subscribe, like, share, and also comment on the comment section. Thank you.